everybody, I'm Hayley.
And I'm Kayli.
And today, we're reviewing the worst Oscar nomination movies in the history of Oscar nominations.
Dang. Wow, shots fired already. We just started.
Fucking fired.
Oof.
I watched 10 fucking movies. 10 fucking movies. So we could rate this shit.
Right.
And
for what?
A chore it was.
Girl.
Oh my gosh.
I thought watching movies was supposed to be fun. I thought wrong.
Horrific. Maybe I'm being slightly dramatic, but I was not.
Slightly dramatic. Never
that. Maybe I am being a little bit dramatic, but Kayli, please tell me. I mean, overall, what did you think about this group?
Well, we've already talked about 5 of these movies more in depth, so you can always check those out. But we're going to go over our rankings, talk about each of these movies, and talk about why we put them in the position we did. But honestly, I was like, maybe I'm not meant for the awards circuit. Maybe I'm not meant to put myself through this. And I was like, let me go back to another few other Oscars and see who was nominated there and who won. Last year, it was Everything Everywhere All at Once. I enjoyed that movie. Yeah, it was a good time.
Deserved. Well deserved.
Every other year, there's been all the winners I don't think I've ever seen before. And all the nominees, I think I've seen maybe 2 out of the movies. And so it's just I don't think I really gravitate towards award movies anyways.
It is a certain type of movie that I'm finding that they nominate. It's a certain vibe.
And it's not a fun one.
And I just don't know if it's my vibe. Maybe I'm just not very intelligent. Maybe I don't have
That's what I'm starting to think
the
too.
mind, the brain to really grasp the artistry that is set before me.
That's how I feel too.
But
I'm maybe I'm just not meant to enjoy these movies because I'm a simpleton.
We're not classy. Let's be honest. Because our favorite movie of the year did not even make the list.
It didn't. And it was a good time. Talk to me. Another movie we did talk about.
That is a good ass movie. That was my favorite movie of this year, probably the year before that as well, if we're being very honest. But that is neither here nor there.
Anyways, so what we're going to do, per Hayley's idea, is at the same time we're going to say what our number whatever is, and then we'll talk about it.
We're going to go from least to first because that's what every great production does.
That's right.
Keeps best for last.
So, ready?
Ready.
We're going to do number 10.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Poor
Things.
There's no fucking way you put this at the bottom of the list. You need to get the fuck over it, okay? And
you're not gonna tell me how I feel.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. This is my
fucking
list.
Ridiculous.
This is my list.
Just because you have a slight moral compass, you're gonna put this shit at the bottom of the goddamn list.
I didn't know I was allowed to have a moral compass.
How fucking dare you? You know what? That's fine. Why the fuck did you pick? No, I already know why you picked Poor Things. Yeah, but go ahead. Tell the fucking audience.
We have a whole video on it where I basically talked about how it was a shitty ass movie for me. I didn't like the art that it was giving. I like some of it, but not all of it. The majority of it didn't like. Anyways, if you want to know more about my opinion on Poor Things, you can always go check it out. And I actually went through and pulled up our ratings from all the other movies, and I gave this one a 1. So it had to be
whatever.
But why'd you put Maestro?
Good God. When I tell you, honestly, I had to reread the summary after it to figure out what this movie was even supposed to be about.
Yeah.
They introduce
Lenny.
Mr. Leonard. And
Mr. Leonard.
It was just only their relationship the whole time. And I get it because it's supposed to be a movie about their relationship and the complexities that it is within. But it's I didn't even really know the characters outside of me just watching them bicker.
Hello, everyone. This is Editing Kayli. So just to give you a warning, Hayley's mic wasn't recording for a little bit. And so what you're going to be hearing for just a small section of the video is her camera microphone. And so if the audio sounds a little funky, that's why. And if the conversation sounds a little funky, I try to cut down as much as possible with the bad quality audio. But hopefully y'all still stick around and enjoy. Love ya.
I just felt like I heard so much about him being this very famous maestro, if you will, but I didn't see any of it. I saw a glimpse of it in the beginning.
Now playing Stay by Post Malone.
It's true.
Alright.
What's happening?
I guess I need to be
silent.
silent.
Are we just not? No.
We are being silent.
We really are.
Anyway, long story short, I didn't really know know who the characters were.
Yeah.
I feel like I got more of them just bickering, but I wish I saw character growth from him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel his character growth. He just seemed like a silly kid the whole time. Like, there was no... It's like, when he first started out, he seemed more genuine, but then I assume with his fame and everything and all the stuff he gets caught up in, that's when the relationships start to break down. However, I don't see any of that. I literally don't see any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him on stage once, except for the very end, when she's like, that's what I was looking for. But I don't even know what she was looking for. Because I didn't even see any of his other performances where he was so bad and angry and out of it and not really passionate about it. I didn't even see it. Yeah. So half the time I was just watching them cry. She needed to leave. Not sure why she's there. He's being rude and disrespectful. I don't know. And it was 2 hours too fucking long. I'm sitting here, long ass fucking movie, and honestly, I just didn't feel the characters. I didn't feel like there was any character development. Maybe the wife a little bit, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I was bored. Very bored. What was the point of the movie? If we're gonna write a story about a real person, he was a real person.
Yeah.
We didn't get anything in his life other than the fact that him and his wife argued in rooms the entire time. Or how she kind of was just mad and looking at him at a party. Like, I was like, I'm sure this man was so much more, and we've reduced it to just this. Obviously, I'm sure it's a big part of the relationship. I'm not saying that would be a big part of the movie, but oh my gosh, I didn't see anything else. I didn't see any of his accomplishments. I didn't see anything. It's supposed to be what? Anyway. 10. Ready for number 9?
Yeah, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oppenheimer.
Past lives?
Bottom.
Oh, wow.
Bottom. I was between these two.
Oh, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us why.
This one, to me, had so much potential,
Mm-hmm.
and it just couldn't quite get there for me. What was a full-length featured movie should have been a short film. The pacing completely killed this movie for me, and I think that's really what it was. The pacing, to me, was so off. I get what they were trying to do, or what I feel like they were trying to do, which they're trying to really make you soak in the emotions and sit in the energy. But to me, there wasn't much to do. I'm sitting here watching 5 minutes of, the guy in the hotel. Just sitting there on the bed. Then another angle from the side profile. Every time they talked, I wanted to fall asleep.
Oh.
It was like, how are you? I've been good. I'm like, oh my God, do y'all talk? Like, no, it was the most awkward dialogue. Because it was like they were so slow in like their responses. And it's like they really wanted you to sit here and feel. And it took me out of it. I'm like, so to me, but I think it was an objectively good movie. As I think all these are objectively good. It's just, for me, it just wasn't there. I think if it was a short film, I just don't think there was enough content for this. Mm-hmm. There was not enough content in that movie. But honestly, it just seemed like people who don't know how to move on. I get what could have been.
Yeah,
what it could have, all that great stuff. Mm-hmm. But the only reason why they're feeling like that is because they're unsatisfied with their current lives. They didn't move on. They're not pushing forward for something. They're not truly seeking themselves. And for that, I also did not care. Because how are you, 20 plus years later, still pining over a girl that used to be friends? Like, to me, that's more of a, I need to go to therapy, rather than this is cute. They did not date. Right. They didn't have a history, to me, that would warrant this kind of desire, other than the fact that you're obsessing over an idea in your head, and you can't move on. Therapy. It was not cute. Oh my God, when they walked to the Uber, they really took me from the house all the way to the edge of the street. I had to watch them walk. And back. And I had to walk. And then she broke down crying. And her man was like, look at there. Mm-hmm. Had that been a man walking back, breaking down crying to his wife about a past, not even real lover, we would have been like, the hell is this? What kind of bullshit movie is this?
But I'm not a man, and I didn't care.
So that was me. So I'm sorry, but why did you pick Oppie?
Okay, so I watched Oppenheimer for the first time in theaters, and that's the only time I watched it, and I will never watch it again. And also, I'm kind of making my ranking off of, because we have watched some of these movies before, and some of these are rated maybe not in the way they should be ranked. Does that make any sense? Like, some of them are rated higher, but they're ranked lower. But that's because, 1, I made up my mind. And 2, it's based on rewatchability for me. Poor Things, never in my life will I rewatch that movie again, ever. You couldn't pay me. Oppenheimer, right fucking there. Movie was boring. I don't know if it was even more boring for me because Tristan decided to pregame Oppenheimer by watching a documentary about Oppenheimer.
The day before out.
Girl, it was too much. And I knew Tristan loves history. He loves history. He loves the World War II, World War I. He loves the atomic bomb. He loves it all.
I don't know.
He loves the atomic bomb?
Like, you should? I don't know.
That's what he does.
A man does.
But, and he was excited about it. And then at the end of it, even he was like, what the fuck? We sat there for 3 hours. I'm like, I know. From what I remember, why was there a jump scare sex scene in the middle of this congressional hearing where that didn't need to happen? I was like, they really put titties in and sex in for us to wake up halfway through this fucking movie. I was like, we're good, homie.
They said, we know what we're doing. They said, they're a little bored. Give them a little action. If it's not the atomic bomb, it's going to be titties.
The other bombs.
The other bombshells.
And I think it was very artistic, and I can appreciate the art within it, but not for 3 hours. And I really wish we would have gotten a little bit more from what I remember. I could be wrong because I did not watch it again, but the only real conversation that we had about afterwards, after he dropped the bomb, was when he was talking to the president. He was like, dang, I feel a little bad. And the president's like, shut up, you fucking bitch. They gonna remember me. I don't know who the fuck you are, Oppenheimer. And I was like, dang, that's kind of crazy. And like, I wish we would have talked more about how he was like, I probably, like, you could have killed us all. You could have destroyed the world. That's a lot of weight on your shoulders. And we're over here spending 2 hours building up to you building the bomb. I'm good.
It's the politics, Kaylee.
And then speaking of the politics, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, go to hell with that one. We did not need this whole fucking hearing. I'm like, bro, that's why this movie's 3 hours long. Plus all the cameos. I'm like, I don't care. I'm ready to go. But let's do number 8.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Oppenheimer.
Okay. We're in the same.
We're in the zone.
We are.
Auto zone. Wow. Okay. Same reasons as you. I don't think we need to divulge. Call me unintelligent. Call me what you want.
Dumb.
I think I was confused sometimes in this movie. I was trying to keep up.
There's
And that
too
might
many
be
people,
me.
too many things.
Too many folks. And if you tell me somebody's name, I don't know who that person is. I just forgot. So they kept throwing around names. So part of it is probably me. I think it could have been shorter. I think had it been shorter, been way better.
Absolutely.
I will say I did think it was just, there were general interesting topics that they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think the way it was put together to me, it was messy in my mind. Like, I think I was having a hard time grasping. They had the trial with the black and white, but then other parts may or may not have been black and white. Then so I don't know if I was just intelligent enough for this movie. Mm-mm. And I was just a little bored.
No, it's totally fine to be
Sorry.
bored. I don't understand why people really even like this movie.
I mean, I feel like there's people who really enjoy science and history. And if that is you, then this is the movie for you. I mean, but yeah, no. Pretty much like you said, I agree. It is what it is. Why did you pick? I mean, come on.
It's the same reasons as yours.
Come on now.
I watched that shit today. Couldn't even tell you what the fuck I watched. It wasn't for me. We'll talk about past lives later whenever I get to my ranking, but I don't mind relationships, but I feel like it was about this, but also like not, because like she was like, you're full of hatred and anger. I'm like, where?
I didn't get that.
All I've seen him do is like fall in love with other people.
Yes. It was like his character was not deep enough for them to have some of the conversations. Because your point,
Right.
She's like, you're just angry when you're up there. Like, well, I would like to see that.
When?
I would like one scene where I could understand what the hell she's talking about.
But it was just a lot of, I don't know anything about the real man. And I don't care to now after watching this. I'm like, if this is what his life was,
I got it.
It just seemed like it reduced him to his relationships. I'm not saying that people aren't their relationships or it's not a big part of who they are.
Right.
But I just feel like I didn't understand who he was. Like, they could have made this movie and it could have been about anybody.
Yeah.
They could have picked any two people and made this story. So I feel like I'm not really sure why they picked it on like a real person based in real life, because it didn't really touch on anything other than the difficulties in their relationships. I'm like, I'm just not, and I don't think this was a big enough relationship problem.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? For us to censor, like for us to cut out all his other great accomplishments to focus on this one thing. So like they really could have just X'd out all the biography mess and just did a random story. And we could have did that, but
because we got nothing.
We got nothing.
It was
I'm sorry.
surface level and not for fun. I don't mind if we don't have to get deep into it, but it's also like, if I'm going to spend 2.5 hours with y'all and y'all are going to be in black and white and talk about how this and this and this, I'm going to need something. I couldn't tell you. Like, I feel like sometimes I was also lost because we weren't shown the context of some of these situations. And so like the wife would be talking about a situation or how she was feeling. I'm like, what are you even on?
I was just like, I'm just getting whatever. And maybe that's what they wanted us to feel. Lost. Not really. I'm like, I'm in their business, but I'm not.
At all. Because I'm like, it's like I'm hearing someone at the table next to me, maybe more like the table a little bit further down. And I'm hearing some snippets. And they're like, yeah, and that bitch cheated on me. And then it goes, and then he said it. You know what I mean? I'm getting snippets.
Yeah. Like, why didn't we see her with her lover? We heard it, and I was like, that would have been an important and intriguing part of this damn movie. But then they just like threw it in a sentence. I'm like, I'm hearing a lot, but I'm not seeing any of this. And somehow it's still a 2-hour plus movie. Mm-hmm. Next.
7. Oh, I wonder if we're ever gonna line up.
I'm hoping we're gonna line up.
Oh, you think what? Oh, I'm nervous.
Is this it? Is it number 7?
3, 2, 1.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Damn.
No, so close.
Okay.
Tell us about Killers of the Flower Moon.
Kind of getting in the middle of the road for me. Mm-hmm. Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, I thought overall it was solid. I don't think that it stood out to me more than others. Mm-hmm. But I don't think, we've also reviewed this one, so if you want to see a review on that one. But I do think that it was also kind of a slower pacing. It was a very long movie. So for me, that's where it's at.
Interesting. You gave it a 3. And it's at number 7.
I guess when I also reviewed and when I had to actually like pick which ones to put in order, because like I said, I can objectively see how a movie is good.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I might actually give one a lesser score and one a higher score, but they may not be in the order of first to last. Because honestly, the way I put this list together, in order of kind of, I added more my personal entertainment, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So if something didn't really entertain me, it's going to be less. Even though I might think objectively it's probably a better movie, but overall, did I like it better? You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. So yes, that is where I'm going with this. So that's where it's at.
I agree with you. Not with the order, but with what you're saying, because that's how my list kind of fell out too, except for Poor Things. That was the only one that was like on time. It was like 1 and it was 10. Okay. Anything else on Killers of the Flower Moon?
Nope. Let's get to you and your zone of interest rating.
I feel like a lot of these movies on this list are like slow burns. They're giving mundanity, if you will. And I understand the juxtaposition of the mundanity of these people's lives and then them living right next to Auschwitz, the concentration camp. And I think the sound design was really important too, where it was like you hear the screaming of people dying literally next door to them while they're living their lives. And I understand that. However, there's just so many times I could sit through basically the same scenes. It's like they're living their lives. You hear screaming. And if that's the point of the movie, then I get it.
Not Kayli being like,
I'm
getting used to be screaming too.
But I understand I can see how this relates to our day today. Because especially now, we're all connected a lot on the internet and we can see what's going on around the world 24/7 if we really want to. And I think TikTok has a lot to do with that as well, where we see something atrocious and we see something awful going on and then you scroll and the next TikTok something completely unrelated and funny. And so it's giving the same vibe of like you're turning a blind eye to the atrocities of the world. However, to me, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do as a singular person. That man was a Nazi. He was for real in charge of killing folks. Me, on the other hand,
I'm not in charge of killing folks.
Just say you're not responsible, Kayli.
not firsthand like that man was. That man was definitely responsible for something. I just feel like a lot of us today, we probably feel very overwhelmed with all the things that are going on every single day. We have climate change. If you lived in Texas, we experienced like 4 seasons in the past 3 days. And when that happens, I'm like, oh, wow, we're going to die soon. What am I supposed to do? I recycle. I try my best. This place doesn't recycle, actually, so now I don't. And then, like, when it comes to, like, the wars going on in different parts of the world, it's like, what can I do? It just seems so overwhelming and so, like, stark, and it makes me not want to think about it. So I understand, like, if this movie was talking about that feeling a little bit more about, like, if you don't face the atrocities, then you're just as bad as the people doing them. But for me in a movie, I don't want to have that. I've come to the understanding that I just want to have a good time. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to think analytically about my standing in life. I just want to vibe.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem.
So the movie wasn't a vibe.
No, at all, bro.
All right, ready for number 6 this time?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Barbie.
You want to talk about Barbie first?
Sure. I mean, like I said, I think out of the other ones that I mentioned, I think Barbie was very entertaining. I think it had some witty moments. I think it was a better pacing, and I think it was more entertaining. So I think that's where I'm starting to get into the list of the ones that I am
Actually enjoying.
and I actually feel like I gave Barbie a lower score. I can't remember. I think
You gave
it a 2.
Barbie a 2.5.
I did, and I think that I did that because I was a little bit disappointed in some of the depth of the messaging. If that makes sense.
And that's what we talked about in our episode.
And that's what we did, so you can watch it as well. But overall I did like the movie. So, and I think that when I start comparing it to the others, I'm like, no. To me, this one is up there, especially when I'm adding my entertainment factor and my interest level. So that's me. What about you?
Kind of similar to what you said about Killers of a Flower Moon. I think it's an important topic for us to discuss. I just didn't love the movie. I feel like we talked about it as well, how we wish it was more in Molly's perspective. But I mean, I gave it a 3 as well. And it is kind of, all my other ratings I think are in the 2s. So, but this kind of goes back into will I rewatch this movie? And the answer is no, I won't be watching this movie. I don't want to go through that emotion again of just feeling so fucking helpless and like nothing's going to change. Basically how I felt with the Zone of Interest. I feel like, what am I supposed to do? First of all, I can't go back in time and help any of those situations. Second of all, what am I supposed to do now?
Bring awareness, and you keep it top of mind. Not top, but I feel like it's because when you go forward, and I know another movie that we'll mention later, but it's like when you know your history, you can create your future. What are the things that we did? What can we learn?
But I feel like when it comes to these bigger issues, like the wars going on, when it comes to climate change, it has to be more of a movement, and we're never going to get there.
We're
It's
never
like
going
a
to
unit of people.
Yeah, it's just like we talked about, like even for funsies, I'll talk about something lighter. Then in middle school, I did a strike in middle school. We ran the mile every day in middle school on our sports team, and we sucked ass anyways. And I was like, you guys, we're not doing this. Everybody, we're going to walk the mile. You want to know how many people walked the mile? 1, and it was me. So this is what I mean. Like, it's just hard to do anything. When you have the authority on you, how are you supposed to do any kind of change? And so, like, when I watch movies that make me think of, like, are you doing enough? I'm like, bitch, I struggle with this every day of my life. But then I also have to go to work. So what do you want me to do?
And that's...
I mean, it's still up there. We're getting that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Listen, with my movies, my top 5. What? Are you not recording, Hayley? Hayley.
No.
We're done. Hayley! What do you mean? We've been going for 30 minutes! What happened? Did you record anything at all?
I recorded 5 minutes. God, I'm gonna cry.
Okay, let's stop recording and let's figure out what the fuck we're about to do.
The audio might start sounding a little bit better on Hayley's end.
Sorry, guys. The audio cut out. By cut out, I mean I forgot to press record. So we're moving along.
It happens to the best of us. But now, I don't know what we were talking about before, but we're just going to move on to number 5.
We are.
3, 2, 1.
Anatomy
American
of a Fall.
Fiction. We're never going to light up.
We're not. It's happening. I think we've already gone through we've like flipped almost all of them.
So yeah, American Fiction for me, Anatomy of a Fall for you. Mm-hmm. Both videos we've already done.
Yes.
My rating for American Fiction was a 2.5. Your rating for Anatomy of a Fall was a 3. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, Hayley. Tell us about it. Why did you hate it so much you put it number 5?
Wow. Once again, I think we're definitely middle of the road now. I liked the movie. I thought it brought up some good points. I thought it was intriguing. There's mystery. What is it? What is it not? It's diving into the relationship. Blabbity hootity hoots.
A lot of relationship films.
A lot of them. Because we love those so much.
She was in 2 of them.
She was in 2 of them. She does a really good job. I like this actress, but
I think she does a good job too.
I mean, overall, I think it was a pretty solid film. I think once again, it was a little bit drawn out in some areas. This just might be me. Maybe I just hate drawn out stuff. I do feel like movies keep getting longer and longer and longer. But I mean, overall, I liked it. I don't think that you can go. We have a review, so I don't think there's anything that I would say now that's different or anything. But I thought it was solid. What about you? Why did you put American Fiction here?
So my top 5 is definitely going to be more ranked on my rewatchability of it all. And American Fiction for me was very mid-level for me. I did look a little bit more into the book. I was listening to a podcast called Champagne Sharks where they talked more about it. Like there is a few professors on there who like teach erasure, and they had a lot of people who enjoyed the book and like all that kind of stuff. And it seems like the book and the movie are like two different worlds, and it seems like things kind of got watered down or just didn't hit the same. And I do want to read it now, so it has intrigued me enough to read it. But I think it was just fine. There's moments that I thought were funny, but you can always watch our review and tell me if I'm wrong. But now number 4.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
American
Anatomy of a Fall.
Fiction. Okay.
Bro,
We're
we're so
close.
close.
All fucking most.
So your rating for American Fiction was a 3. So both of these were a 3 for you. And this one was a 2.75 for me. Anatomy of a Fall was. So same thing for what you said.
Basically.
We have a video on it. We already talked about it.
do.
So it's a little tough to talk about more of it. But Anatomy of a Fall to me was a little bit more intriguing than American Fiction, just because I like mystery thrillers in a way. But I was blue-balled at the end. So that's why I gave it a 4 spot.
Okay. I liked American Fiction. I think that it had some funny moments. I think that it brought up some good points. And I think that I was entertained, and I feel like I was could relate to the characters, but I felt like I liked the characters that were in it. It was like they felt like they're making very human and all that stuff. So I thought it was pretty solid.
All right. We're going over to number 3. Is Poor Things going to be your number 1?
You'll have to find out.
That's my guess. What's your guess for my number 1?
Fucking better not be fucking Past Lives.
We'll have to see.
I don't think it would be. I want to say your top might be The Holdovers.
Oh, okay. We're on number 3. 3, 2, 1.
Zone of Interest.
I gave Barbie a 2.5, so the same as you. It's pretty low, but definitely for me, rewatchable. Out of the rest of these 7,
Yeah.
I would rewatch Barbie in a heartbeat. You ain't gotta ask me twice. I don't have much to say. It was okay. But talk about Zone of Interest for us, Hayley.
I like Zone of Interest. I think it was, so I have an issue with Past Lives being slow. This one also kind of was in the same realm. But to me, this was almost like a horror film. I always felt like something bad was going to fucking happen. Like I was like on edge, low key, even though I knew what they're getting at. But it just felt like such like a dystopian horror film. And it was so eerie to me. And I don't know. I just kind of not enjoyed that, but I thought they did a really good job of kind of portraying this. Like, and this is based off a real person who did live right next to the concentration camp. So the whole time, like just hearing the wife being just irritated about little like things that didn't really matter. Yeah. She was obsessed with her life there to the point where she was like, we're not moving.
It is kind
think
of wild.
about not moving, and I don't know if that happened in real life or not, but think about literally saying I'm not moving from here, and you live right next to a concentration camp.
She was literally like, this is our home.
We've
raised our children here.
Crazy. Yeah. The whole concept was crazy. It was like horror film for me. Like the screaming in the background, and these people are just like la-di-da-di-da, look at my garden. Not the mom leaving in the middle of the night.
Because I would have too.
She said, I'm out of here.
I would have been gone.
The fire burning, and
not
she's
like
looking out the window.
Some lady that they knew too. Like, I wonder if she's over there.
Literally,
that is crazy.
She's trying to take a nap, and all you do is hear gunshots. The lady's literally trying on the jacket, pulling out a woman's lipstick who's passed and putting on her lipstick. It was crazy to me.
It was.
So to me, it was just fascinatingly made, and it was just, I feel like it really honed in, and it was just so eerie. Like to me, it was literally a horror film.
And even her like talking about like the garden, she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have something growing right here so it covers up the camp right next door.
Literally right next door. It took me forever. Like I knew that I saw the barbed wire, but they were like buildings. So I'm like, is it right there? Is it a little bit in? But they're like, no, it's right there.
It's right there.
Like that's it. And I was like,
so what were these black and white like our negative scenes with the apples about?
I looked it up. So the little girl was placing food for the workers.
Gotcha.
I thought she was like lining the way or something, but no, they said it was like a little Polish girl. They said her family may or may not be Jewish, but just kind of hiding, but they're kind of helping. So she's putting out food each night so that when they're working, they can eat extra food.
And then why was my boy like kind of gagging, vomiting at the end?
I looked that up too. They were saying that it was probably more symbolic. Nothing's coming out, but it's almost like the wretchedness of himself. Like the negative energy. It's like showing the evil and kind of that.
It was.
Yeah.
Because I liked how they portrayed it too. Because I I don't seek out historical movies. I don't like to be sad. I don't like to be stressed. I don't like things like this. But I think it was a very interesting way to talk about World War II and Nazi Germany, because this was like a man was just going to work. And it was like sometimes he had meetings at home. It wasn't like anything like super, there wasn't any violence. There wasn't anything crazy like that. You just heard it in the background. And it was more just like, man, I'll see you when I got home, honey. Like, it was like that kind of vibe, and it made it much more normal, which made it that more disturbing, which I did vibe with in the way where you're like, I don't like this. You know, you get it.
Yes.
I think it was very well done, for sure. I don't think it was a bad movie. It's just not in my top 5.
Yeah. All right, so you want... Oh, yeah, you already said Barbie.
Yeah.
All right, are we fucking ready? Because when you say the next one, I'm going to
know.
know what the number one is.
I know. 3, 2, 1.
The Holdovers.
We matched!
And fuck you, because what the fuck? And it just timed out.
Can't believe we finally lined up.
We did line up. Let's celebrate. Number 2. Is that our lucky number 2? Because we're 2.
Oh, 2 peas in a pod.
Oh.
But yes,
Anyway.
the Holdovers.
This was a cute one.
It was.
I like this one.
I wasn't expecting to rate it my number 2, but after I was
Given the options. Sorry.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like I said, rewatchability. I would watch this one again for sure.
I mean, it did kind of what I thought it would do. You have people who are seemingly enemies, but they have more in common. And if you peel back the layers, they're truly, you can kind of see who they are. So, I mean, it was one of those movies. I wouldn't say like super feel good, but it definitely, it was just like a nice movie. Like, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. I thought it kind of, you know, they talked about some very serious topics with a little bit of humor in it, you know, and all that stuff. And then it was just, I liked it.
They grew to be likable towards the
Yes.
end, as they usually do. Because honestly, both of them unbearable. I was like, I don't care about either one of y'all. Get snowed in. Turn this into The Shining. Oh, where's Jack?
Honestly, yeah, that one could have been a horror film too. Not them sleeping in the infirmary. I was like, nope.
Yeah. But this was like one of the first movies I watched preparing for this. So that's why I really have like no recollection over it. But
I
yeah.
watched it a couple nights ago. So I liked it. I thought it was cute. It was one that kept me entertained. Like, I felt like I was truly, we're in it.
Vibing. So we were both right about our number ones.
We
well,
were.
you were wrong.
Well, I was wrong. I cannot believe this. Let's do it anyway.
Number 1. 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Past
Poor
lives.
Things.
Hayley, why is Poor Things your number 1?
Aside, like I said, we did a review on this. Aside from the shenanigans that is problematic
Correct.
topics,
Right.
I think putting that aside, to me, this was just better than the other ones. I thought it was an interesting concept. I thought it was clever. I thought it was very well acted. I thought I liked the shots. So I say objectively, I thought it was entertaining regardless of that. I mean, I was like still entertaining. So putting that aside, I was like, I have to say this one. So
You did give it a 3. So
I did. I said, I thought it was a good movie. Once I can put the shenanigans to the side.
Right. Put it away.
But I was like, I just given what else I had, I was like, And I guess I put this one over Holdovers only because I felt like
It was more unique.
a little bit more of a unique story. Holdovers, I mean, I feel like it's been done. Not in like a negative way. I think you can always, you know, make a new spin or, you know, talk about
Feel-good
kind of the same
movies are
topic.
fine, yeah.
You know, but I feel like, you know, enemies to not lovers, but enemies to friends. Not all.
That's a
that would be
different
very
type
bad.
of movie.
Poor Things. No, I'm just kidding. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway.
Because she's a child.
Because,
I got it.
But anyway, so that is me. On to fucking you. This is actually insanity to me. This was the one I drug my feet watching this.
I know.
Literally dragged my feet.
Because you said, Poor Things killed me when you texted me. And I was like, I don't know if that was a negative thing or like a positive thing. Because it
Who
could have been
knows?
like, it killed me. Like, oh, I'm crying. Because I cried.
You cried?
Listen, let me tell you about my day today. Okay. Yesterday.
No. Take your dad to this, ma'am.
No, I'm putting my day in there.
No, we don't get bonuses.
I watched The Zone of Interest.
Okay.
Then I watched Maestro. 2 very boring movies. And then I watched Past Lives, and it was about love. And I was like, finally, something lighthearted. I've been wanting to watch this movie too. So I was already kind of excited. Anyways, why did I like it so much? Because I love love. I can't help it. I know I don't look it, and Tristan probably doesn't feel it, but I love love. But that's really all there is to it. Listen, we kind of talked about it earlier with Arthur. He was a simp for sure. I would have left a long time ago. If that's what I was thinking too. If Tristan did this to me, if he had a little girl that he used to love and then brought her in here, we're getting a divorce. Sorry. But, I mean, they seem to, I wish that they ended up together. But they did it.
Good for you.
Listen.
Did you feel like it was slow?
Not because I literally finished my Astro and then started this one. So no, it felt like I was like, oh, we're already like halfway done. I was like,
No.
Finally, something's moving quickly.
I mean, what was it?
This is what I will say. Is this like the best romance story of all time? No.
Not even close.
It was surface level. I don't even know who Nora is. I don't even know who Hae Sung is. I don't know who Arthur is.
I feel like I know Arthur better than everybody.
Arthur is a simp. That's all I know. There was definitely parts in it that I didn't agree with, like especially like her hanging out with somebody who's clearly in love with her. But was I cheering them on? Absolutely. I love. I wanted them to win. And then whenever he was like, to me, you are someone who leaves, and for him, you're someone who stays. I was like, I'm probably the one who leaves all the time. But I did like it. I did. I teared up at the end and I cried.
What does that even mean?
What?
You're the one who leaves? Mm-hmm. What else? How else does she portray leaving other than the fact that she was forced to at like 12?
Oh, well, I think he was talking also about like her disappearing for another 12 years after she was like, we just need to take a break.
I don't think it's because she just is a leaver. She realized that we need to grow up. He's not moving here. I'm not moving there.
Right.
What the fuck are we doing?
I don't think
it's
it
her.
was.
She's just maturing. He would have.
I would not call it maturing at all.
Well, yeah, it is. When you realize it's not going to work and you're like, you know what? There's no need for us to sit here and waste each other's time. If he's not coming here and I'm not going there, that is a mature decision. That's not her just, you're always, I have to chase you. Stand up. Stand the hell up. You're sitting here pining after a woman that you haven't seen in years. She's a husband. You flew out here to see her so I could flirt in front of her husband's face. And I just felt like he is like, and I might be projecting here, but he seemed like he was kind of sad, depressed, no direction in life. It seemed like he truly didn't like where he was. Yeah. So he's clinging to something, a thought of something. Yeah. And I think she's entertaining it because I think she doesn't really love her husband. That's what I saw. I didn't see it could have been, what would it been? I saw two broken people trying to make a dream of something that actually was never there. So to me, I didn't get romance. Yeah, I got sadness and we needed therapy. Okay? She needs to go to her husband.
This is what I will say. I will call it romance because you know what love is? It's not always easy.
Infidelity?
It's not always fair.
Infidelity?
Exactly. You know how many people find love somewhere else?
Oh, okay.
Plenty of times.
I understand America now. You cheating hoes.
Right, because that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years with Tristan.
Clearly. You and everybody else who liked this movie.
I think it was just, it was a good movie for me. And it was sad for me. And I did love, but I did hate love because it's like they weren't able to ever be together because of the choices that they made. I don't know if it was like a mature choice for her to be like, to me, it was giving the vibe of like, well, I'm not going to go over there. And I feel like we should just take a break, hoping that he would be like, no, I love you, girl. Like, I'm going to come to America. But then he was like, well, okay, I guess that's cool. So I don't know if it was like a super mature decision, but it was a decision that was made that led to other things. But it also was making me feel like I've had certain conversations recently with Tristan about soulmates and like, how do we know that we were actually the best match for each other? How do we know that there's not other people out there that match us better? And it's like, but now we are together. Now we have to make that choice to stay together and to go through life that way. And I don't think those conversations were like the most well thought out, but I did like the little lines that were like kind of cute, kind of cheesy. I've also been rewatching The Office and I've realized I hate Jim and Pam, but every time they're sweet to each other, I cry because I love Hayley. That's it. I'm a little cheese ball inside, but it's about love. It's about life. Love is not always easy. Love is not always kind. And I think that's what I liked about it. It was also just heads and tails. It was just over everybody else. I would definitely watch this movie again. I will because Tristan didn't go to watch it. So I'll be watching it again. You would literally
watch them just sit and blink at each other and say 2 words over the course of 10 minutes. It's fucking insane.
As you did with the zone of interest, as you did with...
The difference for me was the zone of interest was making a general theme of something. Like I saw, like you said, the juxtaposition, you may not have felt as heavy. I could not for the life of me figure out why they were making the pacing this way. And if it's because they wanted me to sit and marinate and whatever was going on, I could not get myself to care enough to marinate in what was going on.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I don't think it was like
the
super
difference to
deep.
me.
We're not. I didn't really like connect with these characters.
Feel like that's what they were trying to do.
Like
Like,
now you're getting mad because they're trying to do something in a movie.
I know you're not talking. You
I'm
hate
just
everything.
saying. I know you're not talking. You hate everything.
No.
That's why we have a whole podcast.
But what I'm saying is, it's like when I feel like they're trying to be deeper than what it is, it takes me out of the film. I start to notice it, and now I'm more annoyed because I'm like, what are we doing? Because it's not like, because it's taking time away from things they could have been doing. You know what I mean? Like, instead of these long, like there's one scene where we're just the tree. I'm like, God, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is this tree symbolic? What are we doing? Maybe I'm not getting it, but it just felt like they were being too artsy with some of the stuff. And I was like, I want to
likes
get...
poor things.
Yes. At least that was entertaining. They don't stare at a tree for fucking 50 seconds.
Right.
And then you listen to like birds in the background.
I also don't remember these moments that you're talking about.
I will pull these up. I remember
Please
I was like,
do.
good God. Like, I just wanted to know what was going to happen. And it just was the slowest shit of my life. Like, there's no need for me to watch. And I get what they're trying to do. But I think for me, this could have been a short film. And I think it would have been so much more effective. Unless they're going to add more, what do you call it? Substance. But to me, there wasn't enough substance for them to draw it out for that long. I think it had so much potential. That's why I was like, I don't think it was a bad movie by any means. But I think that with what they gave us, I think it could have been a 30-minute film. It could have really been a 20. Like, I just don't know if I saw the need for it to be as long as it was.
Right.
Because it truly was not that much information.
And that's what I could say about all of these movies on this list. Most of these movies could have been effective as a short film. All of them, really, they could have been way better this big. Unfortunately, Hayley, we live in a world where they're going to be almost 2 hours long, if not longer. And so to me, it didn't drag for me. And like, yeah, there were moments where they weren't talking and they were just staring at each other. But I think it was supposed to be like, all the things that are left unsaid, which is short, cheesy. But again, I love love. I think what I also really love too is longing. I love like the thinkings, because I don't know. In college, I was a little dramatic, but sometimes it's interesting in a fight, and I'll be like, you know what? I'll break up with this man, and I'll live the rest of my life, and I'll think about, I'm like, how would my life go without him? Sometimes it was good.
Oh my gosh.
So it was feeding that melodramatic part in me, where it was like, if you didn't connect with that person, what would you do? Who would you be? Would you be happy with the other person? Because like what Arthur was saying, he was like, what if it was just somebody else who showed up? Wouldn't you be saying the same things to him? It's like, that's life, baby. If you weren't there and somebody else was in your place, it could have happened. Or maybe y'all were meant to be.
You could say that to the main character and told him to shut up. You could have said that to the other two characters and had them, like the guy and the girl, whatever. You could have said the same thing to them. He's questioning, well, what if you met somebody else? And she's like, brushing that off. I'm like, but that's literally what she's like, that's not doing.
What life. She's like, that's not how life works. But she also
But that's what she's been doing. This whole time, she's wondering, what if? Just like he posed the question to her. And she's sitting here poo-pooing him. I'm like, but that's what you're doing. You're wondering, well, what if I never left? Well, what if we did? Well, that's not how life works. Get it together. I guess I just was like, this is insanity. She's out here having a slight, small, I wouldn't say slight or small. She's having an outright emotional affair for a couple days in front of her husband. But to me, it's not even like I want to say love. I think that's why, to me, this was not a love story. This, to me, was a people's obsession with the idea of what they created in their mind to be love. Because honestly, they barely talked.
Well, yeah.
They didn't talk about much.
That was addressed too. He was like, I was in love with that 12-year-old girl that I knew. And she's like, yeah, that girl isn't here. Like, she doesn't exist here, but she was real. And that's who you love. And that's what they did address in the movie. They literally talked about that.
And I know that they did, but the way that they were still acting, I didn't get that I felt like she was only saying that because she had a husband. I feel like had she not had a husband, they would have seen where it went. But it only felt like she said that because she knew at the end of the day, they could not be. Because like at the least, thank God she's not going to take a physical, I guess.
Well, I mean,
we're just going to go on dates with him. The place she never took her husband.
To go back to what you're saying about her making the decision not to be with him when they were both single, like she she decided not to be with him there when they were both single.
But not because
Of
that
what?
that she didn't want to. I think she just realized that he's going to Hong Kong to practice his Mandarin. She doesn't want to leave New York, and they're probably not going to cross. And she doesn't want to stay here in a long distance relationship, and it probably just wouldn't work. So
I think that's also a main reason why she also didn't want to be with him either. To be fair, I don't know if Arthur's really holding her back, but like her reason, he was like, so are you going to run away with him? That's what Arthur asked. He was like, you going to run away with him? She's like, no, I would never miss rehearsals for a dude. She didn't say anything about Arthur. She said, I have my own life here. So even if they were both single and he still had to go back to Seoul, she was going to stay there. I don't think they were ever going to be together. And I don't think it was ever going to be that way for them. Which is why people, I think, connected with it and were sad about it. Because it's like, dang, y'all should be together. Because we're projecting on there. We want a love story. For sure. What they were also talking about too with Arthur, he was like, are you in love with him? And she was like, are you attracted to him? And she was like, no, I think it's just really intense because for such a long time he was like a memory, like a kid in my head, and then he was just an image on my computer, and now he's like a full-fledged person. And so I think it's like whenever you do see someone like that who used to mean a lot to you in person, it might be kind of confusing if you are in love with them or just in love with the idea of them. And I think that's what they explored together at the end. And then how she was over here saying Korean like 20 times. She was like, he's like Korean and not like Korean American. But I sometimes don't feel like I'm Korean. I'm like, what are we on, girl?
I mean, I guess she had that cultural aspect too. Because that's what I was like, I might also see if it's not necessarily, maybe, I think he was seeing her as more of a romantic interest. And I feel like she was seeing him more as her life in Korea in general. Like obviously him. So I could see her a little bit more kind of having that longing. So I think if you bring that aspect into it as well, she obviously did get taken from her place where she was born. And that's really hard. So
and I could see her decision, right?
No. And so I could see her maybe over also romanticizing him plus her life back when she was younger, and maybe feeling like she doesn't feel as connected to her roots anymore, and he brings that out of her. You know, like she said, she's like, I don't really feel Korean, but with him I feel more Korean but also less Korean because he's showing me that I'm not as Korean anymore. But she probably doesn't get to speak fluent Korean like she said with anybody but her mom. So I could see her aspect a little bit more. So I mean, when you put it in that light, like I think it makes a little bit more sense, because it's like, you can't just be for the love. I think his might have been more because he was always infatuated, I think. And like I said, I think his life didn't really go, or his life wasn't just going how he thought it might go. I agree.
Most of our lives.
I concur.
Right.
So I think he was kind of romanticizing what might make it better for him or what he thinks might bring him his purpose. And I think she was kind of,
I think he's also like thinking about the past when he was happy and it was with her.
When he was younger. When you're a kid, you have no responsibilities and everything's fun.
And that's what she also said too, to Arthur. She's like, I think I also just miss Seoul. Like, so.
Exactly.
I think she does tie in a lot of her childhood and being back in Seoul with him.
Friend.
So
I see that. So I didn't think it was a bad movie. And I want to say, I don't think any of these movies were bad movies.
It depends on what you mean by bad.
Bad in terms of like, I think everything was well acted.
Yeah.
There was not one of these.
If we're doing the bare minimum of a movie, for sure.
Okay, wow. But yes, I thought they were all pretty well acted. I thought they were well shot. So I didn't think any of these movies were bad. I would not ever say that these are in the range of just like poorly made or poorly written, if you will. Well, anyway. So I'll say that. So I know I rag on him, but I'm like, I understand it's not a bad film, but
yeah. But yeah.
Anyway.
So that is our top 10.
This was fun.
I don't know who the fuck's going to win the Oscar, actually.
I really don't know. I don't know what necessarily they're looking for, but I feel like sometimes like these award shows are political very much so I can't really say what I think. It's kind of like whoever's running it, whoever's really truly running it is who's going to pick for whatever is happening.
She's talking about the Illuminati?
The Academy. The Acadaminati. That was awful.
Anyways, but yeah, that was our ranking
top 10
of the 10 nominees for Best Picture. We will not be doing this again next year.
Nope, unless the movies are overwhelmingly
unless we've already watched
fantastic.
The movies. Yeah. Then maybe, but I can't imagine us sitting through another 10.
I just maybe am not an Oscar movie girl.
Maybe I just like trash. Maybe that's me.
Maybe that's us. It's okay sometimes to self-reflect. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm all right.
I mean,
I don't think so. But let us know what you think about these Oscar nominees. And if you just love ranking things, then you'll love our Instagram at Hayley and Kayli. We also have a TikTok at Hayley and Kayli, and our podcast on Apple and Spotify at Press Podcast. What else do we have?
We have a YouTube channel. If you're watching us, thanks. Hit the subscribe. But if not, you can watch our videos as well as the audio on YouTube at Hayley and Kayli. We also have an email at presspodcast@gmail.com where you can send us any requests, comments, questions, concerns, your full 10 list, whatever you want. There as well.
Tell us your ranking. What would you put
Any
all
of
of these
these.
movies if you watched them all?
Don't tear us up too much, y'all. We said what we said.
We have our opinions.
I said what I said.
Listen, it's okay for people on the internet to have an opinion.
It's good. But I'm open to dialogue. I love to hear like why
It just
people,
depends on the type of dialogue for me.
Of course. But like I
Weak.
like to see why people liked it or didn't like it.
It's true.
Because I'm like, well, maybe they saw it. Like you are viewing movies in a different lens than I am. So I'm like, obviously, different movies are going to touch the hearts of different people. So
It's
is what it
true.
is. But
I always feel like an outlier, though. I'm always like, this is what's popular, and I don't like it. I'm like, what did I do wrong?
I don't know. Like I said, but some of these, like I said, the Oscars are, I think, catered to a different type of movie that they're nominating. So I think it's, yeah.
So it's not
just
us.
those type. No, the uppity people.
Right. They don't like us low patrons,
No,
low
they
peons. Anyways, speaking of peons, we're peeing on out of here. Ooh!
That was awful.
Thank you. But until next time, later.
Bye.
Bye.